We've been to some of the most chaotic, war-torn places in the world, but never for something as bizarre as this.
Here we are. Welcome to Eden Parish.
You guys built all this?
Father had a vision, and we built heaven here on earth.
The Sacrament is about a group of journalists for Vice that journey into the jungle to learn more about this community that's built up. There's a Jim Jones type figure who's the head of this organization, and it's this whole village that's completely separate from the world. They have no racism, they have no violence, they have no fighting. And because it's a horror movie, we know that there must be something else going on. Unfortunately, what's going on is incredibly predictable, especially if you know anything about Jim Jones and the Jonestown Massacre. If I had gone into The Sacrament not knowing it was a Ty West film, and it got to the end credits and said written, directed by Ty West, I would have been shocked and disappointed. But considering the whole reason I watched the movie is because it's a Ty West film, I knew that going in, I was merely disappointed. I'm a fan of Ty West's last two horror films, House of the Devil and The Innkeepers. I think are both really great independent horror movies. Very slow burn horror movies. Some might say boring, but I like that. I like the tone he builds, I like the atmosphere, and most importantly, I really like the characters. You could take out the horror elements of both House of the Devil and The Innkeepers, and you just like hanging out with these characters. It'd be like a 90s Richard Linklater movie, just sort of a hangout film. And with this movie, The Sacrament, he's certainly trying to do something different than what he's done, which kudos to him for that. But unfortunately, what he's trying to do is a found footage movie.
Take the camera. I want you to film this. It's important.
Well, it's not always a found footage movie, actually. Sometimes it's a found footage film, and sometimes it's an edited documentary with music and graphics. It's one or the other depending on what is most convenient for the scene. It has a lot of the found footage tropes that I hate, the worst being when the cameraman sets the camera down on something and then wanders into the shot and he has a conversation with the other characters. No one just sets a camera down while it's still recording. It happens a lot in found footage movies, and it really happens a lot in this movie. But other times it's a produced documentary. But all that is moot because most of the movie is shot from two different cameras, and it's shot and edited in the style of a traditional narrative, where we're getting shot reverse shots. The framing of most of the shots just looks like a handheld shot from a normal narrative feature. At one point, our characters get split up, and we're cutting back and forth between the action to the point where you're saying, why is this a found footage movie?
Aren't those the guides? What are they doing with guns?
Nothing about this feels genuine. Nothing about it feels authentic, which is sort of what can make or break a found footage film. But this all feels very produced and very rehearsed. The dialogue feels like movie dialogue, which would be less distracting if it was shot like a traditional film. The only actor who really stands out is the head of this parish, the Jim Jones equivalent. Oddly enough, his name Gene Jones. He was the gas station guy from No Country for Old Men, and he's really good in here. There's an extended scene where he's just being interviewed by A.J. Bowen, and it's really great. There's a very slow buildup of menace and tension behind the words that are being said, and it's really effective. That's the only really effective scene in the movie, unfortunately, because after that, and this isn't really spoilers because the trailer gives all of this away, it's the Jonestown Massacre. Nothing more, nothing less. Which is unfortunate because Ty West's other films, they are very simple. The story is very simple, but they're shot well, they're creative in their camera work and the pacing of it and the casting especially. And they have likable characters. And this movie really has none of those things. And it's found footage. So if you want to see a found footage version of the Jonestown Massacre without any other elements, any other subtext, any sort of twists in the story, or interesting revelations, if you want to see something that plays out exactly how you would expect it, that's what this is, unfortunately. With a really good performance by Gene Jones.